Decades ago, I started growing food in my front and backyard, and I realized that my mission in life is to inspire and empower others to grow their own nutrient-dense, healthy organic food. Because of this, a lot of people have come to me with their gardening questions over the years, and that got me thinking, what if we put together a community that would help budding gardeners blossom? So I finally made the idea a reality with my Urban Farm U member program. Each month, your membership includes 3 live online events, a monthly class, a chit-chat with an expert, and a monthly coaching session, plus access to the experts on our member page and a significant discount on our signature courses. I'm deeply committed to transforming our global food system, and I do this by empowering you to grow your own food. The Urban Farm membership program is a simple way to get going. Please join me in transforming your food system today. To learn more, go to urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444. That's urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444.
You're listening to the Urban Farm Podcast, your partner in the Grow Your Own Food revolution. Whether you've just been introduced to urban farming or you're a lifelong advocate, we're sure you'll leave feeling more informed, equipped, and empowered to dig deeper into the soil of your local food economy. With you every step of the way, here's your host, Greg Peterson.
Today on the Urban Farm Podcast, we have Denise Stalder, one of our featured farmers, to talk about her experience with growing food to support their retirement. Denise is a grandmother of 8 who was forced into retirement from a management position at the age of 57. She and her husband rented a community garden plot of 1,000 square feet to save money by supplementing their food budget. Their success propelled them to buy an old farmhouse on 1.7 acres 1 hour north of the city of Ontario, Canada, where they have developed raised beds, grown a good amount of their own produce, and are starting with chickens this year. They have found this has been a wonderful retirement solution for them. This is their way to reduce expenses and create a lifestyle that is healthy, happy, and a wonderful example for their grandchildren, who are learning all about where food comes from. Welcome to the show today, Denise.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thanks for letting me take part in this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I shared a bit about you. Can you fill in the blanks for us and share more about the path you took to get where you're at now?
Well, I kind of got here a little bit, not of my own choosing, but then hopefully by my own choosing. I had a very, very busy job and was kind of packaged out at 57. It was a change in management structure, which happens like so frequently to everyone now. Yeah. And it was a bit of a shock because I was 57 at the time. I didn't think I was ready for retirement. But we started, as time kind of went by, my husband and I, to ask ourselves, where did we want our lives to go? And maybe this wasn't such a bad thing. And where do we see ourselves in the future? And more it came down to we wanted a little bit more control in our life, a little bit more control in what we were eating, and we had always kind of talked about growing our own food and making that a part of it. So just decided this was the opportunity to do that, and that's how I got where I am now.
Nice. So it was very interesting. You took that opportunity, which could have been, being pushed out of your job. That could have been framed out in your mind as a bad thing, but you turned it into a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an immediate thing. I did a lot of walking and thinking, and it was fall when I was laid off. So I was walking around seeing everything ripe and ready for harvest, and the farmer's market was completely full of fruits and vegetables and things. And it just brought me such peace seeing all of this. And I just kept thinking, the smells of fall and the change of the seasons. And I just wanted my life to be more part of that sense of the change of seasons and nature and being a part of it. And so that, we started to say, how can we do this? And I'm really lucky here in Ontario because we have a program called Farm Start. And it is it's been established to sort of give young farmers an opportunity to farm where they can't afford to just go out and buy the land.
Right.
So basically, they make land available anywhere from a quarter acre to 4 acres to encourage young farmers.
Wow.
But as a part of that, they have a community garden program where it was the first year actually that I was involved with it, and they had 15 plots that were 1,000 square feet, and they gave us these plots. It was, I think, maybe $200 for the season.
Uh-huh.
But they were fully tilled. There was a load of compost and access to water.
Wow.
And they just said, go to it. And it was a great experience because it was a complete mix of ages of people and nationalities, and everybody shared seeds and shared stories and shared different types of produce we hadn't seen before.
Uh-huh.
It had to be gardened organically. So
nice.
that taught you a lot.
Yeah.
That's a very essential part of the program. And it was just a wonderful beginning to kind of gauge for myself, how much land do I need? Can I really do this physically? Can I do this? Because this is a big question when you're looking at retirement. You want the physical challenge to create that health aspect, but at the same time, you don't want it to be so physically challenging that it becomes something you can't do going forward. So
exactly.
it was a great yardstick for me to see, what do I want to do? How much land do I want to handle? And what am I going to grow?
Uh-huh.
And then from there, we began looking for a property that we could handle, and economically, of course, as well, because land around Toronto is just incredibly expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
So we have ended up, we're an hour north of the suburbs, so let's say an hour and a half north of Toronto itself. And land is obviously much cheaper, but the growing environment is a little more challenging.
Oh, yeah. An hour north, that's 60 miles north, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your growing season look like?
Very short. Depending on the map you look at, we're either 4B or 5A. So we have frost until the end of May, and we can expect frost before the end of September. It's quite a short growing season, yeah. And we're subjected to very strong winds in this area. If you looked around from my property, you will see a lot of windmills. It's the government has used this area as wind farm for electricity generation. Yep. So there's a continual breeze.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so you're out in the country?
I'm actually walking distance to town.
Oh, nice.
But I am just the beginning of what is zoned agricultural.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I hear you named your farm.
We did. My husband comes from Switzerland. They have a family farm there that they call Erlengraben, which means willow ditch. And so kind of as a tribute to that, we call this Erlengrabenli. And we have a great ditch. We don't have any willows, but yeah, it's fun to have that connection to the past.
Yeah. Why did you name your farm?
Just to make it feel like mine, to make it feel more, I guess,
beautiful.
of a farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I was very hesitant to call it a farm all along. I always referred to it as the farmhouse.
Oh, yes.
Because the house is actually built in 1901, and it is the original farmhouse for the surrounding farm area.
Wow.
But we're only on 1.7 acres. Like, it's been divided off many times, right? And my kids refer to it as the farm, so it kind of gave me permission to start calling it the farm.
Nice. Yeah. So, and you have 8 grandkids.
Yes, I do, yeah.
And
actually, number 8 is due next week.
Oh, very good. And how are you sharing this with them?
Oh, they absolutely love to come here. They tend to steal a lot of my produce when they do come.
Nice.
And I'm torn, but I do let them just go to it and haul it out of the ground because it's such a wonderful experience for them. It's part of what we wanted to do to create that example for them and for them to be able to learn where food really comes from, what it is. You watch some of these programs that people like Jamie Oliver do, where kids don't know what a carrot is. Right. And it's just so appalling to me. And I don't want my grandchildren to grow up that way. I want them to have that full experience of knowing this is what real food tastes like and where it comes from.
Yeah. I have to tell you, when you just said what you said a moment ago, it moved me.
Oh, that's nice.
It did because... it's a big part of the reason I do what I do. It's like people don't know where food comes from, what it looks like. And one of the, what I did when I was younger is I planted broccoli. I'd never grown broccoli. I didn't know where it came from except the ground. I knew that much. But often what I'll do is I'll just plant something and it's like, oh, okay, that's how it looks. That's how it looks. That's what, that's how it grows, so on and so on.
I'm notorious for pulling over to the side of the road because we, up here they post these agricultural signs that'll say,
oh, yeah.
This is barley, watch it grow. And I'll pull over because I just want to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Barley's not something that, the average person grows. So it's fun to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, on 1.7 acres, you could grow some barley.
I guess I could. I am starting to look at cover crops this year. That's my new thing. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, you never know.
Why cover crops?
Just to build the soil. There was a bed here when we moved here. It's 21 feet by 7.
Uh-huh.
And I sort of felt like that poor bed had seen a lot of work.
Oh,
We've since added 7 additional raised beds in similar size. So this year I decided that poor bed needed a rest, and I've sown it with red clover. So we'll see how that works out.
Oh, nice. How cool is that? So what are you growing?
Everything. I decided that the first couple of years would be kind of a test period, and I would just plant stuff and just kind of from there decide what I like to grow, what I like to eat, and what will do well in the climate, because it is a changing climate for me.
Uh-huh.
And a change in soil, because the soil around Toronto is very heavy clay. And when we got up here, I was over the moon because the soil is wonderful in this area, quite loose.
Uh-huh.
So it's real, like all of a sudden I have incredible carrots. I've never been able to grow carrots of any length before.
Wow.
I forget that I can grow long style carrots now. And I'm absolutely thrilled because my long carrots won first place at the Horticultural Society meet last week. So,
wow, really?
Yeah, that's how different the soil is.
Oh, congratulations.
That was just an awesome thing. But
wow.
So I'm growing everything. I've discovered I absolutely love kale in my smoothies. I've never grown kale before. Yeah. And the squash, I have a pumpkin that's about ready to harvest soon. I have tomatoes galore, of course. Mm-hmm. And I like trying a few heritage seeds every year too, things that I haven't tried before.
Oh, yeah.
And just
good for
that,
you.
That whole concept of growing something that has that link to the past is just romantic to me. I love it.
Yeah. I can completely get that.
Yeah.
So your climate up there is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But the days are longer though. Like this time of year, what time does the sun go down?
It's about 8:30 now, but at the end of June we have daylight till 9:30, going on 10 o'clock. It's still quite light out. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a big adjustment for my chickens. They're discovering, they're new. This is their first year, and they're discovering, wait a minute, we have to go to bed at 8:30 all of a sudden. Getting earlier and earlier.
Right. And that's part of how you get such bounty in your harvests, because you have the long days.
Yeah, especially the cool crops just do so well up here. I struggle a bit, although I've got a great crop of peppers this year, which is a surprise. We've had a really hot summer for this area and very dry. Last summer, I didn't irrigate my vegetables at all, and this year I was watering every day at some portion of the garden because it's been so dry.
So dry, yeah.
Yeah, and so hot. The humidex has been in the 40s. Oh, sorry, we're in Celsius, so I can't convert it for you.
That's all right.
But it's over 100.
Yeah, the 40s is over 100. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's been a really hot summer. But normally, we tend to have fairly warm, humid summers and then brutal winters, a lot of snow.
Got it. So, and your point in growing your gardens is to feed your family, yes?
Absolutely.
But you can only grow 6 months a year.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So
I start things in the house. I started peppers and parsley and things in January just because I get to the point where I am itching to grow something.
Oh yes, I understand that.
So I prefer to start it from seed, so I have that experience.
Uh-huh.
But actually working in the garden, we're looking at earliest is beginning of May, even for cool weather crops, because everything's still frozen.
Right. And then you've got to harvest a lot starting in what, July, August?
Yeah, toward the end of July. Like I'm really busy right now canning and freezing. Pretty much every day I'm processing. I did canned peaches this morning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But it's a very, very busy time of year.
Uh-huh.
In terms of the harvest anyway, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, peaches, what else have you canned this week?
I've done a lot of pickles. I've frozen sweet corn, and we've got a lot of beans I'm putting up. I did peas before they finished. I'm hoping to get another crop in before winter comes.
Uh-huh.
Tomato sauce I've been doing. I love tomato sauce because I tend to freeze that, but I do it like a batch a day. I go out and pick all the tomatoes and say, okay, what ones, are kind of, I don't want to eat them fresh. Boom, this is a batch of tomato sauce into the freezer. Rather than a lot of my Italian compatriots do the whole family gets together and they do, 8 bushels of tomatoes. I don't have enough friends to do that. So one batch a day works for me.
Cool. So do you share any of your produce outside of your family, or is it all for your family?
It's funny because now that I am retired, when I was working, I was, every time I see something I thought kids would like, I bought it. The money wasn't a question at the time. And now, of course, because we've scaled back our lifestyle so much, gifts have become things from the garden. And a lot of times it's, here's a jar of homemade pickles, here's a jar of homemade jam or pepper jelly or something. And, I think that's in a way a better gift because it's a gift of my time. It's a gift of something very personal.
Oh, man.
So,
that is for sure. And so do you have systems in place to, deal with the surplus when it arrives?
Well, I try to share with all my children and grandchildren and close friends. And other than that, then it's a matter of canning it or freezing it or drying it. And I haven't yet got to the point where I can handle it. Although I do have my husband's work. Last year, I shared some with the people at his work. And a few people have asked me if I'd be willing to sell some. So that's that.
Oh, nice.
For the future to come. And that was part of when we got the property. The idea was that we had enough garden to feed ourselves, but the potential that if we needed a little bit of extra income down the road, that we could, sell herbs or something to that effect, that option would be there for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you thought about putting a greenhouse in?
Yeah, that's my dream. I'm hoping next year. It'll probably be the year after. I just was gifted 8 windows that I'm hoping to do a big cold frame with. Yeah.
Nice.
So that I hope to have in place very shortly. We're in the middle of building. We've built a beautiful outside coop for the chickens that they adore, but winter's coming.
Yeah.
So now we have to build the same thing on the inside of the drive shed to keep them warm through the winter.
Yeah.
So that's got to come before the cold frame and that. But yeah, a greenhouse is a big goal for me because that would certainly extend my season and let me do things like melons and that I really can't do now.
Yeah. So you have chickens, yes?
I do. We got them at the end of April as day olds. I have 8.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, and I actually ordered 8 because they told me not to expect them all to survive, and they did.
Oh, nice.
I'm very thrilled.
Nice. So let's see here. April, May, June, July, August. So they've just started laying.
Not quite. I'm expecting within the next couple of weeks. I actually just yesterday started them on layer feed, so I'm hoping that we're getting close. And I just opened up the nest boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're close.
Fantastic. All right. Do they all have names?
Oh, they do.
Absolutely. They do. Yes. Cool. All right.
Names and personalities.
Oh, yes, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so amazing. We
They're
actually
amazing. Yeah.
we actually had one of our chickens. We have 16 now here at the urban farm, and one of them passed away this morning. And it's they're family pets at this point.
That's exactly. They're my husband laughs all the time and keeps saying to me, "You do know they're chickens, right?" I'm going to see the girls.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So here's my curiosity. I have a friend who lives in Guelph, and he's got chickens, and he actually sends the chickens away in the winter because it's cold and snow and so on and so on. How do you manage the chickens in the winter?
Well, this is all theoretical, of course, because I haven't been through a winter, but I have talked to people up here with the chickens. We chose the breeds we chose because they are cold hardy.
Uh-huh.
And from what I understand, cold is not as much of a problem for chickens as the heat is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have spent the summer running down there at noon with frozen pieces of mango to cool down my chickens, because it's been so very hot. But we located our coop on the side of the barn that's protected from the wind.
Oh, all right. Uh-huh.
They have a slanted roof so that the snow will roll off.
Uh-huh.
They are in the deep litter system, which
right. Uh-huh.
I understand will generate some
heat. Yep,
in
absolutely.
the winter. Yeah.
Hold on before we go. Let's go before we go there. Say a little bit about what the deep litter system is, so that our listeners know.
Sure. Okay, so rather than having to sweep out the chicken coop on a daily basis, I should say I do change their coop house itself on a daily basis, but their run is on deep litter. So the run is directly on the soil, onto which we put quite a thick layer of wood chip, thanks to the ice storm we had here last winter.
Oh, right.
And then about 4 inches of leaves from last fall, maple leaves that we dried over the winter, and then pine shavings. And then we probably at least once a week I top that up with another layer of either pine shavings or leaves or straw, whatever I have available. But the chickens, we are constantly turning that over, and we try to encourage that with a little bit of scattered scratch once in a while as well.
Right.
A little bit of food, so it makes them very active with it. And mind you don't have to encourage them; they love to do it.
Yeah.
So they dig and they turn, and basically what they're creating is a compost pile. They are on compost, and it's incredible that there is no smell. It smells like fresh earth.
I know,
There's
isn't that nice?
no horrible chicken smell to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I love it.
So in the part that makes heat then is it is composting a little bit. So in the wintertime you're getting some heat kind of radiating off of that. How cool is that?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So our intention for the winter is to build the same system on the inside of the drive shed with a pop hole going out into the outdoor run.
Uh-huh.
And from what we understand, unless it's, really sub -20 kind of temperatures and icy, they like to go out. They don't mind a little bit of snow on the ground, and they'll go out and scratch around in their in the deep litter outside all winter.
Wow.
So that's our hope that they're going to enjoy that. But they will be sheltered within the barn. Otherwise, I have heat lamps if I need it. And,
right. Of course you do. Of course we do. So, and do they continue laying all winter?
From what I understand, because mine haven't started to lay yet.
Yeah.
As long as you give them a little bit of supplemental lighting, they will. They won't. Well, they won't lay quite as frequently as they will during the summer months. Mm-hmm. But if you supplement the early light, then they will continue to lay. So we're going to test that theory as well. Oh, you and I will have to talk about this next year. I'll let you know if it all worked out.
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wow, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So, are you keeping any other urban livestock?
Not yet, but I am hoping next year to have bees. My daughter is a horticulturalist, and she has a friend who rescues wild swarms. So we've been talking, about doing the research over the winter, and if we think we're up to it come spring, we're going to get the hive ready, and then when they get a wild swarm, they'll be happy to bring it to us. So I'd like to do that. Honey sounds wonderful, but more just because I'd love to have the bees around the garden and encourage them.
Yeah.
Yeah, my garden is full of pollinator flowers. And I did grow a whole section for cut flowers this year, but I found I don't have the heart to cut them because the bees are so active on them.
Oh, yeah.
I think, I'll just leave them in the garden for the bees. So, yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, it just sounds like you have so much fun doing this.
I do, and it's funny because a lot of my friends and family, I think when we bought the place, thought we'd lost our minds. They all kept saying, why would you want to do that at this age? Why aren't you looking for a condo downtown?
Yeah.
And now they're all going, oh my God, you look so happy. You look so peaceful, so fulfilled. Now they're starting to say, well, how do you do this? And how do you do that? And it's become a point of interest, I think, for a lot of people that maybe this wasn't so crazy after all.
Yeah. Nice. It's like a breath of fresh air. That's how I would describe you and what you're up to there.
It's funny because we put a couple of lawn chairs down under the trees down that face the garden, and my husband and I'll go down there and just sit and look at it, and we're just we're just so amazed that this is all growing and we did this.
Yeah. Wow. I just got my smile's hurting because I'm smiling so much during our chat here, because it's just like that is so I'm in the middle of Phoenix, Arizona. There's 4.4 million people here, and I have this dream that someday I'll be able to go out and do what you're doing.
And it's funny because you would think, and that was a big fear for I think my family, that I would feel isolated living up here. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that exists anymore in the world we live in because of the internet. And,
and all the technology, Yeah,
the minute that I started to do this, I started to follow yourself and Justin Rhodes and Marjorie Wildcraft, and, all in the States, by the way, which is kind of funny. But being from Canada, right?
Yeah.
But I just found that there is such a community out there, and that people are so willing to share knowledge and so willing to help you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to feel isolated. I don't feel that way. On the contrary, I feel it much more part of community having done this. Yeah. And locally, of course, I've joined the Horticultural Society, and I don't think I've gone to a meeting yet that I haven't learned something. So that's a great resource as well.
Nice. So I kind of want to travel back before you were growing any food, and I want to know what was the initial spark that got you interested in growing your own food?
I always thought it was fascinating because where I grew up, I grew up totally in a city environment or suburban environment, but where our house was built behind us, there was an older lady had a vegetable garden, so I thought that was fascinating. Uh-huh. And then when I was 14, I started dating this guy he actually is my ex-husband. So my ex-father-in-law had this incredible garden. He had taken the last 25 feet of a 50-foot wide lot and turned it into garden. And this is a man who worked a very physical job. He was a tile setter. And especially, come summer, it was such hot work. And he would come home from a full day of physical labor and head straight to the garden. And he'd be out there for an hour with his puttering and everything. And then he'd come and he'd get his beer and he'd sit on the back patio. And you could just see him look out at that garden and go,
Yeah.
And that house was the hangout for all of the friends. They had 4 kids, and all of their friends hung out there.
Yeah.
And they fed everyone constantly from that garden. I mean, they weren't rich people. They could never have financially done what they did or been as hospitable or as generous as they were if it wasn't for that garden. And it just moved me so much at that age. I just thought, this is what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a person that can be welcoming and generous like that, because I have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
When
one of the things I have found over and over and over again in my garden, and I've been growing food here for 41 years in Phoenix now, is that there is such an abundance that grows in nature.
Yeah.
In fact, I often say that the only place on the planet that lack lives is between our ears.
I like that.
Yeah, because, when I look at my garden and my apple trees and my peach trees and the tomatoes that we harvest tomatoes in May, by the way. Yeah.
So mine aren't even planted yet.
Exactly. I look at that. I take a look at that abundance, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We do have one advantage, I think, though, Greg. At least I think so from what I've seen. is that because our plants struggle with this growing season, this tough conditions, the taste is so intense.
Oh.
We always claim that the stuff grown up here tastes better. I think it's because it has to work harder to grow.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. So I'm going to shift on you now a little bit, and I'd like you to talk about a time you failed, how you overcame that failure, and what you might have learned from it.
Oh, there's probably plenty I could list, but I guess the most, well, last year I would say my big failure was my tomato garden, because I can't kill a plant. I can't stand thinning. I can't just feel so guilty.
Yep.
And I had started so many tomato seeds. I got carried away with the seed catalogs as usual.
Yay.
And had started so many varieties. And then when we went to plant them out, I really didn't have the room for the amount of plants I had. And I kept shoving them in anyway. And so, of course, by the end of the season, not only could I not harvest because I couldn't even get in between the plants, but then, you start to get into fungal disease and whatnot because they're just so close together.
Right.
So this year, I said to my husband, don't let me do it again. and I behaved this year, and the tomatoes are wonderful. So, it really, really is a lesson well learned. Yeah. But for this season, I guess if I had to say a failure, it's recording. I have a problem with recording because I start out so diligently at the beginning of the season.
Yes. And
I make a page per product I'm growing that shows where I got the seed from and when I started it and
wow.
everything. And by the time the middle of June comes, I'm not writing down a thing. So that's probably my biggest holdback this year.
Got it. So I actually have a piece of coaching for you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I say next year, do the same thing you did last year with the tomatoes, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of plant starts you can sell your neighbors and friends.
Yeah, if I had the greenhouse, I would most definitely do that. The problem is because I'm right now growing them just under lights in the house, they always end up looking so leggy that I'm embarrassed to give them away. But they come back, of course, in the garden. You just bury it a little deeper. But to say to somebody, oh, here, I'm bringing you this plant, I think, they're going to think, boy, that woman doesn't know how to grow anything.
I'll tell you what, though, leggy tomatoes are great, especially in when we have drought conditions or water stress conditions, because you can plant the tomatoes deeper.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So what do you consider your biggest success?
I would say my biggest success is just overcoming the fear and doing it. It was a big lifestyle change. It was a bit scary. We thought, well, what if we don't like it? Like, what if we get up here and winter sets in and we're looking at 2 feet of snow every day and we hate it? And it's been wonderful. I would like to say I wish we'd done it years before, but the timing wasn't right.
Yeah.
The timing, we had small kids. Suburbia is a great place to raise kids.
Yeah.
And, so the timing had to be right mentally and physically and economically. And that all came together now in our lives. And so I'm glad we did it now. But it's been so rewarding and just to be able to really appreciate the resources of the earth, the water, the soil, and what grows. It's just so amazing to me every day. Every time a seed comes up out of the earth, I'm like, oh my God, that really happens.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And I can, I'm just going to say this again. I can sense the excitement in your voice as you talk about all this stuff.
Yeah.
So what drives you?
I guess that joy and that reward of seeing things come back. Each spring you go through a long winter and there's joy in that too. There's beauty in that rest period. But it comes spring to see everything start to grow again, and then this time of year the smells of everything being ripening, and it's just so beautiful to me.
Yeah. Wow. So
and the food.
And the food. I was going to say, yeah, it's very visceral for you then.
Yeah, I love to cook. I love to eat.
Yeah.
And more, a part and parcel of this process of growing has been the nutrition side of it.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had the time to look into that more and more. We try to eat as much as we can. Probably, I would say right now, 60%, if not more, of every meal is straight out of the garden.
Wow.
I know what's gone into it,
Yeah.
and that's just such an incredible feeling.
So I just want to shout out the magnitude of the statement that you just said. 60% of your food comes from your garden.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I would say, we have a smoothie every morning that
Yep.
is at least half out of the garden,
Yep.
and lunch is just a plate of all the vegetables and tomatoes and fruits that we've gotten. And if it didn't come from my garden, it came from the farm market right next door.
Oh,
There's
nice.
a big farm next door to us, so they have
right.
they have an ongoing market. And then same at dinner, the whole vegetable person. We don't have any meat, of course, but
Yeah.
and we hope, of course, to have eggs very shortly. So
Right.
that'll be another portion.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here's another idea for you. If there's a farm market next door and they're already selling stuff, you can grow stuff for them.
Yeah, actually, it's a thought. That's the nice part, though, Greg, is that all of those opportunities are there.
Yeah.
If we want to pursue them. Like, it's got to be a step at a time, because
yeah.
I tend to overwhelm myself. But
Oh, yes, I understand that one.
yeah, but it's nice to know that progression is possible. It's there.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I'm all about education, and I have to know, is there one book that has been influential for you in this process in your life?
Yeah, I think the book that really got me thinking about this, and this is even before I stopped working, was Michael Pollan's The Omnivore's Dilemma.
Oh, yes.
When I started reading, what Joel Salatin was doing and everything he had to say, I just went crazy. I started Googling every TED Talk I could find, every YouTube video I could find on what he was doing at Polyface.
Yep.
And another book I think that really got me thinking that, because of course you're talking about real farms when you're
yeah.
looking at what Joel's doing, but what got me thinking more on a personal level, and that this was doable regardless of the size of your property. There's a book, A Slice of Organic Life, by Scheherazade Goldsmith.
Oh, yes.
And it's like the photography in that book. You look through it and you just want to make jam. So yeah, I think that book had a big influence. I'm book crazy. Like
Nice.
I had to give away boxes of books when we moved here. So there's lots of them, but those two especially stand out for me.
Yeah. What's your favorite jam to make?
Raspberry peach.
Oh. Raspberry peach.
Yeah. Everybody likes that one.
Yeah. Wow, do you have a recipe for it?
I kind of just wing it every time I go.
Oh, all right.
I start with the Bernardin canning book, and then I usually kind of tweak from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. So what one final piece of advice do you have for our listeners?
Just do it. Don't be afraid. Don't be chicken like me. Get chickens, but don't be chicken. And that this is an option for people at retirement, if not sooner, because we have to think about the quality of life going forward. The world's got to be a bit of a scary place, and economically things aren't as steady as they were 10, 15 years ago. And so a lot of people going into this phase of life, this is a wonderful option because it forces you to be physical. It forces you to learn new things in a great way, not forces as in it's something awful. It's wonderful.
Right. Yeah.
And you can scale it to whatever is doable for you. And at the same time, out of that comes this incredibly healthy food to support your health going forward in life. So it's just win-win no matter what. And you set the example for your grandkids and your kids and all these young ones coming out. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing your experience with us today, Denise. It has been a treat getting to chat with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I had a great time.
Absolutely. So how can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to reach out?
I'm on Facebook as Denise Stalder-French, which is my maiden name. And my email is Lyndee, Lyndee 56 @hotmail.ca for Canada.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us on the Urban Farm Podcast. Decades ago, I started growing food in my front and backyard, and I realized that my mission in life is to inspire and empower others to grow their own nutrient-dense, healthy organic food. Because of this, a lot of people have come to me with their gardening questions over the years, and that got me thinking, what if we put together a community that would help budding gardeners blossom? So I finally made the idea a reality with my Urban Farm U member program. Each month, your membership includes 3 live online events, a monthly class, a chit-chat with an expert, and a monthly coaching session, plus access to the experts on our member page and a significant discount on our signature courses. I'm deeply committed to transforming our global food system, and I do this by empowering you to grow your own food. The Urban Farm membership program is a simple way to get going. Please join me in transforming your food system today. To learn more, go to urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444. That's urbanfarmmembership.org or text membership to 33444.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Urban Farm Podcast. Remember to listen 3 days a week for tips, advice, and resources to help you on your journey with urban farming. You can find us on the web at urbanfarm.org or send us an email to podcast@urbanfarm.org. In the words of Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Be encouraged that with each lesson learned and skill developed, you are one step closer in the direction of your dreams.